As the president came out today and said what he wants to do, said what he thinks the stakes are, said what his principles are in approaching something like this, the president did his part and then rightfully and specifically and repeatedly said he will consult with Congress when it comes to using force. Congress, meanwhile, is running in the other direction, saying, no thanks, you just do your thing. Article 1, Section 8 be damned. That part of the Constitution, Profiles encourage this isn't so far. Joining us now is John Stanton, Washington, D.C. bureau chief at BuzzFeed. Mr. Stanton, thank you for being with us.
It's good to be here.
So the hawks in D.C. and in think tankville have been screaming for a new war in Iraq and boots on the ground and all the rest of it. President Obama is pledging today no boots on the ground other than these small numbers of advisors. Is the screaming from Capitol Hill now being quieted to the extent that Congress is actually being asked specifically what to do?
Yeah, I think what's going on right now, frankly, is that they came in and they sort of said, look, there is this very serious situation. Members on both sides of the aisle, almost unanimously that I talked to today, agreed that they feel like something has to be done, and they all seemed to be more than happy to let the White House sort of take care of this and have it on them, which I think, helps the White House in some ways, but also hurts them, because I think that they're a little concerned, frankly, that, what they're trying to do right now may or may not work, and they're going to have to end up holding the bag. And, I think Democrats and Republicans don't, as you say, want to take a vote on this right now. And, you got pretty much Rand Paul as the lone voice out there saying he doesn't have the authority to do this. He shouldn't be allowed to do this. That we've essentially created a permanent war and we're allowing them to continue with this. And he's really the only person that is spoken out against it at this point.
Well, on that point, I mean, who am I? What do I know? But it doesn't look to me like either of the existing authorizations for using military force, the Iraq-specific one or the post-9/11 one, it doesn't look to me like either of those would include new troops to Iraq in this situation. I mean, is there agreement in Congress on the analysis, basically on the facts, that the president's got 60 days before Congress actually really does need to go on the record here? Is there an agreement that that's the legal situation at hand?
No, not at all. There are certain members, Senator Murphy, for instance, from Connecticut, who says, look, he has, sort of the 60-day authority to go out and take some action to protect U.S. interests, and he is on board with that. But past that, he would want to see the president come back to Congress for a new authorization.
Right, yeah.
Then you have a lot of other members that are reading either the 2001 AUMF or the 2003 AUMF as giving him the authority. There are those that say that the Iraq authorization still applies because there is a little bit of wiggle room in some of the language that sort of just talks about Iraq generally to do this. There are those that say, well, ISIS may end up reconciling with al-Qaeda, and at that point they could then trigger the 2001 AUMF. And I think, to a certain degree, frankly, a lot of members are sort of hoping that that gets resolved, that either the situation calms down or it becomes a situation in which there is more clear legal authority for him to continue doing what he wants to do without their getting involved.
It's amazing. They'll find any path toward not actually having to make a decision that they can ever be held accountable for or ever have to explain. It's so much easier to complain. Amazing stuff. John Stanton, D.C. bureau chief for BuzzFeed. Thanks for your time tonight, John. I appreciate it.
Always.
I will say, for all of the